President Trump was in Houston tonight for a Make America Great Again rally in support of Senator Ted Cruz. And here to talk about the rally tonight is Travis County GOP Communications Director Andy Hogue and Tara Pohlmeyer from Progress, Texas. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Andy, do you think Trump will give Senator Cruz the boost he needs to ensure a win in November? Now, keep in mind, they were opponents during the 2016 Republican primaries, and at times it did get ugly. Do you think any of that matters to Texans come Election Day?
Well, Trump himself admitted that he used to call him Lying Ted. And I think he changed tunes on that and says, hey, Cruz is an all right guy. I believe that was the term he used. So I think it's possible in politics to bury the hatchet. We've seen that happen a lot of times. And yes, absolutely. He's going to, he's here to support Ted Cruz. He's here to support the Republican ticket. And we're grateful for a supportive president.
Tara, according to a recent Quinnipiac poll, Congressman O'Rourke is still trailing in support. O'Rourke has 45% of support compared to 54% for Cruz. How does O'Rourke plan to close the gap, and how much stock do you put into polls?
I don't put a lot of stock into polls, mostly because right now they're polling likely voters. And I think there is nothing likely about a lot of the voters in this election. A lot of these voters are voting for the first time, and so a lot of them are non-traditional voters, you could say. And really because of that, we are seeing an overwhelming support of new voters, but a majority of those are Democrat voters. I think Trump coming to Texas will not help Ted Cruz in any way. Really aligning yourself with someone who has called you Lion Ted for so long cannot be good for Texas, and I don't think that Ted Cruz is really as tough as we need a senator for Texas to be our supporter at the U.S. level.
Andy, thoughts on the polls? Again, there is that 9-point lead according to the most recent Quinnipiac poll, but how much stock do you put into polls?
Well, I'm also not a big poll fan. I recognize the importance of polling, and it's certainly a good way to, you know, do a reality check on your own politicking. But when you look at it, like Tara said a while ago, there's likely voters and there are confirmed, you know, historical voters. And when you get down to the actual voters, Ted Cruz is ahead by roughly what the Quinnipiac poll has showed. And I think if you look at places that consolidate poll data like Real Clear Politics, you'll see Cruz with a commanding lead. So yes, I think a little over 40% is realistic for Congressman O'Rourke, and Cruz will emerge victorious.
A big topic at hand is immigration. Cruz supports a border wall, O'Rourke does not. Tara, how important is this issue to Texans?
This issue is so important to Texans. A majority of Texans are impacted by immigration in this state, and a ton of Texans, a lot of Texans, are immigrants themselves. And this is a very personal issue for many Texans, and I do think that O'Rourke's stance on not deporting DACA, not deporting Dreamers, making sure that we have a path towards citizenship for all immigrants is very close to the heartstrings of Texans and really resonates with our values.
Andy, do you think the border wall will give Cruz an edge in this race, and anything else you want to add as far as immigration is concerned?
I think the average voter wants some kind of reform. We haven't really seen Congress address immigration since the Alien Gonzalez days. Really, we saw some attempt to reform the system, but it wasn't enough. And since then, Congress hasn't budged. But now with Donald Trump leading the way, I think Congress is positioned to actually do something. And the average voter wants that. Now, what the exact solution is might be a subject of debate, where there will be an actual wall, a border wall, a virtual wall. It could be a lot of different things. It could be just alignment of local, state, and federal authorities. But one way or another, we've got to do something. And I think discussing an actual border wall may be the first step. And I'm willing to let the president lead on this issue.
Okay, Tara, earlier tonight, the president mentioned, or he said, that O'Rourke is, quote, a stone-cold phony and a radical left-winger. What do you make of his comments tonight?
I think Trump is a bully. I think he's been a bully for his entire presidency and for his whole campaign. O'Rourke is his most recent, I would say, target for that bullying, but that used to be Ted Cruz. And so I do think that all of a sudden they're now aligned. Trump is calling Ted Cruz beautiful Ted instead of Lion Ted, and it's just a strange relationship that I don't think Texans should support.
Andy, What are your thoughts on the name calling?
Yeah, well, I think politics, as we know, attracts ambitious and also very successful people. But successful people know very well that there's a time to bury the hatchet. That from the book of Ecclesiastes. There's a time for everything. So there's a time to fight and there's a time to make peace. And I think right now is a time to put our differences aside and look at what we have in common and work for victory on November 6th.
All right. We are out of time, but Andy, Tara, thank you both for sharing your perspectives with us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.